We are going to get in another perspective here to talk about the talks, what it means, and what we can perhaps expect. Achal Malhotra, former ambassador, is joining us here on the broadcast. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for speaking to us. First, I want to ask you about this round of talks, the kind of, in fact, what we have heard from Ukraine, from President Zelensky, very clearly says that there is some movement or some positive signs that seem to be coming about. How would you interpret that? Ambassador Malhotra, if my voice is reaching you, wanted to get your perspective.
Now I can hear you. Can you very quickly and briefly repeat your question?
Yes, my question was your interpretation of what we've heard from President Zelensky in saying that there are some positive developments with respect to the talks with Russia.
Well, I think Zelensky has given some indication that at the end of the day might give up the idea of joining NATO, which in any case is nowhere on the horizon. I don't think NATO is serious about actually admitting Ukraine in near future at all. And particularly, you know, from NATO's perspective, if a particular country cannot contribute to the strengthening of NATO's, strengthening of NATO and strengthening of the security and stability in the region, they don't actually qualify to be a member of the NATO. So the situation is very clear. Now we are heading towards a situation that NATO membership for Ukraine might be a distant dream, and Zelensky seems to have come to realize that NATO is not going to go beyond a certain point in supporting Ukraine in the current crisis when Russia is already on its soil and so much of destruction has already been carried out. So therefore, these kind of signals are positive in the sense that both sides now can have some sort of a face-saving, a win-win situation where at least this key element, you know, the whole thing started with Russia's whole objection was that NATO is expanding eastwards and there should be no question of Georgia or Ukraine being admitted. So if this issue is addressed, then on the table there would be other issues like those self-declared independent states in the eastern Ukraine and a few other leftover issues. Some of those issues, whether NATO can go back to 1997, is something between not between Russia and Ukraine. Then it is between Russia and NATO. In any case, this whole thing is between Russia and America and its NATO allies. So what may happen at the end of the day with this clear-cut understanding or undertaking on part of Ukraine that for the time being, or at least for the distant future, they are ready to be neutral and be a buffer zone in between Russia and NATO. Things may come to a little bit of, there may be a ceasefire. And as far as the destiny or the fate of the eastern part of Ukraine is concerned, you might see the repeat of what happened in Abkhazia and South Ossetia in Georgia. You know, some committee has, Geneva talks are going on since 2008, 50, 60 rounds have already taken place. Russia will claim that it's not a party to the conflict. These are two independent, three independent entities now. I believe even Kherson has declared its independence. So Russia will take a point that, well, these are three independent, self-declared independent states, and Ukraine and these regions have to take a call on it. But on ground, Russia would have consolidated its position. And if Zelensky is willing to live with that, then probably we will have some sort of a solution which suits both the sides. But this is a lot of what I have said you at this point of time is a matter of intelligent speculation, if I may say, intelligent guesswork, our assessment. Much would depend on what Russia has thought. When Russia says that it will take this war to the end, or to its logical conclusion. What exactly Russia has in mind, probably we may have to wait and see in the next few days.
Absolutely.
Over to you.
Yes, absolutely. Ambassador, the other aspect in the reports, some of the reports that have talked about, Russia possibly using chemical weapons and what that would mean. How do you see that entire development or the possibility of something like that even happening?
No, Avni, I think this is a part of the information war which has been going on. And unfortunately for Russia, Russia is depending in this information war on its state media, which is not as competent and as capable as the Western media. So they have not been able to counter the narrative from the West. And let's not forget that most of the international news agencies and media are either owned or controlled by the Western powers. So this is one area where they have got an edge over Russia. As far as chemical weapons are concerned, you remember Americans had used this as a pretext to invade Iraq. They said, the Saddam Hussein is in possession of chemical weapons and may one day use it. But till date, no chemical weapons have been found in Iraq. And we all knew that the whole intention was to bring about a regime change in Iraq. So to counter this, Russia has started its own narrative through the information war, which is the biological weapons being developed by America in Ukraine. And according to Russian claims, there are at least 32 laboratories which are working on it. They are funded by America, and America is trying to, may sooner or later use those biological weapons to harm Russia. I think most of it is part of the information and propaganda war, and I don't think this being put to use, even if there are chemical or biological weapons. We have a convention, international convention, to which all these countries are a party about the prevention of biological and chemical weapons. But violations are possible. At the same time, since the outcome can be very devastating. I don't think either of the two parties has any intention to use them in their future.